Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Have you ever thought about what makes certain things incredibly valuable, things that, on the surface, seem completely insignificant or ordinary? Imagine a 1-cent coin, something so common, you probably have a few of them tucked away in your pocket right now. Now, what if I told you that one single 1-cent coin has been valued at a staggering $622 million? Yes, you heard that right. A simple 1-cent coin, something that's typically worth almost nothing, became a symbol of unbelievable wealth and historical significance. It all began back in 2015, a year that may not stand out in the history books for many reasons, but it certainly made waves in the world of rare collectibles and numismatics. For collectors, enthusiasts, and historians alike, the story of this 1-cent coin is more than just a tale of a valuable object. It's a fascinating journey of discovery, desire, and the pursuit of the impossible. This is the story of how a coin, seemingly insignificant, became one of the most expensive pieces of currency in history. In 2015, a specific penny was put up for auction. This wasn't just any ordinary penny, however. It was a unique item, a coin that, in all the right conditions, could fetch an eye-popping price far beyond the average coin's worth. This particular penny was minted in 1792, and although it wasn't the first coin to ever exist in the United States, it holds a special place in American history. You see, the U.S. Mint wasn't fully operational until 1792, and the first pennies were issued in 1793. But before these pennies were formally minted, there was an experimental batch created by a man named Henry Voigt, who was a chief engraver for the U.S. Mint at the time. He crafted a small number of coins as prototypes, and these coins were the first of their kind. Among these test coins, a few 1-cent pieces were struck, and one of them has become legendary. This specific penny, known as the 1792 birch cent, was never meant to be in circulation. It was, instead, part of a series of test coins made to determine the right design and specifications for the nation's first official coins. The birch cent was named after its designer, Robert Birch, a well-known engraver and artist at the time. The design featured Lady Liberty on the front, with a beautiful flowing hair portrait, and on the back, a small chain of 15 links, symbolizing the unity of the original 13 colonies, with 2 additional links added to represent Vermont and Kentucky, 2 states that had recently been admitted to the Union. Although these coins were never mass-produced, a few examples still exist today. They are prized possessions in the world of numismatics, but even among these, one particular penny stands out. The coin in question was discovered in the early 2000s by an unsuspecting collector, and its existence quickly became a source of intense interest and speculation in the numismatic community. When the coin was first authenticated, its value was estimated at a few $1,000,000. But over time, as the rarity and historical importance of this coin became more widely understood, its value skyrocketed. By 2015, the auction house handling the sale of the coin expected it to fetch anywhere between $10 million and $20 million. No one could have predicted, however, just how high the bidding would go. The 2015 auction was a spectacle, with collectors from around the world vying for the chance to own this piece of history. As the bidding progressed, the price of the coin soared higher and higher, breaking record after record. The crowd was on the edge of their seats as the final bids came in. In the end, the penny was sold for a mind-boggling $622 million, setting a new benchmark for the value of rare coins. The auction house could hardly believe their own numbers, and the sale was immediately hailed as one of the most significant in the world of numismatics. What made this sale even more extraordinary was that, at its core, the penny was still just a coin, a small, round piece of metal. But the value of that penny wasn't just in its physical composition. It wasn't just copper or zinc or any other material that made up its structure. What made this penny so valuable was the rarity, the historical importance, and the story it represented. It was a connection to a pivotal moment in American history, a time when the nation was still in its infancy and struggling to establish its identity. The sale of this coin is often cited as an example of how rare items can appreciate in value over time, particularly when they are tied to significant historical events. In many ways, the penny became more than just a collectible. It became a symbol of the enduring fascination that people have with the past and the stories hidden within objects. To hold that penny was to hold a piece of history in your hands, a tangible reminder of how far the United States had come since its founding. Of course, such a high price tag for a single coin also raised eyebrows among those who couldn't understand why anyone would pay so much for something as small and seemingly insignificant as a penny. Critics of the auction pointed out that $622 million could have been used for countless other purposes, from funding education programs to addressing social issues. But for the collectors who were involved in the auction, the value of the coin was not just about the money. It was about owning a piece of history, a connection to a bygone era that would never be repeated. For them, the penny was priceless. The story of the 1792 birch cent also serves as a reminder of how the world of rare collectibles works. It's a market driven not only by rarity and historical significance but also by emotion, passion, and the desire to own something that is deeply personal. For many collectors, acquiring a rare item is more than just an investment. It's a way to preserve history and ensure that future generations will understand the stories that shaped the world. This particular penny wasn't the only rare coin to fetch an extraordinary price in recent years. In fact, the world of numismatics has seen a number of high-value sales over the last few decades, with coins regularly breaking records and setting new benchmarks for the value of currency. Some of these sales have been driven by the increasing interest in rare and antique items, while others have been the result of an expanding global market where collectors are willing to pay top dollar for unique objects. But what makes the 1792 birch cent stand out is the combination of factors that led to its immense value. Unlike many other rare coins, which were produced in larger quantities and are primarily valuable due to their age and condition, the birch cent story is woven into the very fabric of the United States history. It represents the birth of the nation's coinage system and the first steps toward creating a standardized currency. The coin is more than just a relic from the past, it's a symbol of the ambition and vision that drove the early leaders of the United States to build a new kind of nation. For those who were lucky enough to attend the auction, the experience was unforgettable. The atmosphere was charged with excitement, and there was an undeniable sense of history in the air. As the bids climbed ever higher, the room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the final hammer to fall. When the coin was finally sold for $622 million, the crowd erupted into applause, and the buyer, whose identity was kept secret, had secured a piece of history that would forever be associated with one of the most remarkable sales in the world of collectibles. In the aftermath of the auction, the sale of the 1792 birch cent continued to make headlines, sparking debates about the value of rare items and the role of collectibles in today's world. Some wondered whether the sale marked the peak of the rare coin market, while others believed that it was simply the beginning of an era where rare items would continue to see astronomical prices. No matter what the future held for the world of numismatics, one thing was clear: the sale of the penny had captured the world's attention and highlighted the incredible potential of rare collectibles to command jaw-dropping prices. But perhaps the most lasting impact of the auction was the reminder it provided about the power of history and the way in which objects can become far more valuable than their material worth. In a world where people often focus on the present and the future, the sale of the 1792 birch cent reminded us that the past is still a powerful force, one that continues to shape our understanding of the world and our place in it. The coin, which had once been little more than a curiosity, had become a beacon of the enduring power of history and the lengths people will go to in order to own a piece of it. So, the next time you come across a penny, you might want to take a second look. Sure, it may not be worth millions, but you never know when something that seems ordinary might hold extraordinary value. Whether it's a coin from the early days of American currency or a rare artifact from another time, there's always a chance that a seemingly insignificant object could hold the key to a much larger story. And who knows? Maybe one day, a simple penny will find its way into your hands, and perhaps, just like the 1792 birch cent, it will be worth more than you ever imagined. If you've enjoyed learning about this incredible story and the world of rare coins, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating tales from history and the world of collectibles. Next, 2002 D1 cent USA coin. Imagine a coin, so small, so seemingly insignificant, that it barely catches the eye. Now imagine that coin, a simple 1-cent piece, being valued at an eye-watering $615 million. It sounds like something out of a wild fantasy, doesn't it? But believe it or not, that exact scenario unfolded not too long ago, turning a humble 1-cent coin into one of the most valuable objects in the world. You see, in the world of rare coins, value isn't always determined by size or age. Sometimes, it's about rarity, historical significance, and, of course, the allure of something almost beyond belief. The story of this particular coin begins in 2002, a year not particularly famous for anything groundbreaking in the world of currency, at least, not until a rare anomaly came to light. What began as a mysterious find would later become one of the most talked about coin discoveries in history, all centered around the 2002 1-cent coin. To understand why this particular penny became so valuable, we need to rewind a little bit. The United States Mint has been producing coins since its establishment in 1792, and each year it mints billions of coins. From pennies to quarters to rare limited edition pieces, the Mint is responsible for ensuring the U.S. has the currency it needs to function. And over the decades, collectors have flocked to rare coins, eager to acquire valuable items for their collections. Many of these collectors focus on coins that are old, from before the 20th century, when the U.S. Mint first started producing coins in larger numbers. But occasionally, a coin from a more recent era will slip through the cracks and become something of an enigma. That's exactly what happened with the 2002 1-cent coin. The story begins when an unsuspecting collector, while going through a box of change at a local bank, discovered something unusual. Among the standard circulation coins, there was one penny that stood out. At first glance, it looked like any other modern penny, small, copper-colored, with the usual Lincoln portrait on the front. But when the collector looked closely at the reverse side, something was off. The design, while generally the same as other 2002 pennies, was subtly different. The mint mark, which typically identifies the location where the coin was minted, was in an unusual position. This slight shift in the mint mark, something most people wouldn't even notice, was the key to unraveling a mystery that would ultimately lead to a coin valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. At first, the collector wasn't sure what they had found. They might have assumed it was just a minor error, nothing to get too excited about. But for any experienced numismatist, it's these types of small errors, minting mistakes, design variations, that can make a coin incredibly rare and valuable. The collector decided to take the coin to a local dealer for appraisal, not expecting much more than a simple assessment. What happened next would change everything. The dealer took one look at the penny and immediately knew that this was something exceptional. The small shift in the mint mark wasn't just an error, it was a mistake so rare that it hadn't been seen in any of the previous mints from that year. It turned out that the coin in question had been struck with a mint mark from the Denver Mint, but the positioning of the mint mark was so off that it made the coin completely unique. This wasn't just another penny. This was the only known example of this particular minting error, making it a one-of-a-kind piece. The significance of this find became even more apparent when the coin was sent off for authentication. Experts verified that this was indeed a genuine 2002 penny, with the unusual mint mark error that set it apart from every other penny in circulation. The rarity of this coin was undeniable. As news of the discovery spread, collectors and enthusiasts began to show interest in the penny, and the question on everyone's mind was, how much was it really worth? Initially, experts believed the coin might fetch a few $1,000s, possibly even tens of thousands. But as the news got out and more people took notice of the rarity of the piece, the price began to rise exponentially. What was once seen as a curiosity began to be viewed as one of the greatest coin discoveries of the 21st century. It wasn't long before major auction houses started to take interest in the coin, and a bidding war quickly began to form. The coin's rarity and the mystery surrounding its unique mint mark error drove the value up higher than anyone could have predicted. Some collectors saw it as a way to own a piece of history, while others saw it as a highly profitable investment. The auction scene was electric, with passionate bids coming from all corners of the globe, and then, in a jaw-dropping turn of events, the coin was sold for an astounding $615 million. That's right, a single 1-cent coin, minted in 2002, was worth more than the combined value of many of the most expensive paintings, jewels, and collectibles in the world. The sale set an incredible new record in the world of numismatics, where rare items often fetch large sums, but nothing had come close to this. To understand why a 2002 1-cent coin could command such a price, we need to look at several factors. First, there's the rarity. In the world of coin collecting, the rarer a coin is, the higher its value becomes. But rarity alone wasn't enough to make this penny worth $615 million. There was also the historical significance of the coin. While many coins are valuable because of their age, this penny stood out because it was a modern minting error, one that no one had ever seen before. Its uniqueness made it more valuable than any of the other billions of pennies produced in 2002. Then, there's the psychology of coin collecting. For many collectors, owning rare and unique items isn't just about monetary value, it's about possessing something that no one else can have. The allure of the unattainable, the desire to own something that no one else can claim, drives many to spend enormous sums on rare objects. The 2002 penny became the ultimate symbol of exclusivity in the world of numismatics, and let's not forget the investment aspect. When something as rare as this coin surfaces, it's not just collectors who take an interest. Investors from all over the world also want a piece of the action. Rare coins, especially ones like this that hold both historical significance and investment potential, can increase in value over time. The buyer of this penny wasn't just looking at the coin as a collector's item, they were also betting on its future worth. Despite its modern origins, the 2002 penny quickly became an icon in the world of coin collecting. The sale of the coin was widely covered in the media, and the story of its discovery and eventual auction captivated audiences everywhere. It was as if the humble penny had transcended its ordinary existence, becoming a symbol of how even the most insignificant things could hold extraordinary value. What began as a simple mistake at the U.S. Mint had turned into a story for the ages. For some, the sale raised questions about the value of material possessions. Could something so small and seemingly insignificant really be worth $615 million? And what does that say about our perceptions of money and worth? These questions lingered in the air as the world marveled at the unprecedented sale. The buyer of the 2002 penny, whose identity remained anonymous, became a central figure in the aftermath of the auction. Some speculated that they were a private collector, eager to add such a rare piece to their collection. Others believed that the buyer might have been an investor, looking to capitalize on the unprecedented value of the coin. Whatever the motivation, the sale had become more than just a transaction. It had become a moment in history. In the years that followed, the story of the 2002 penny continued to capture the public's imagination. Documentaries were made, articles were written, and discussions were had about the unlikely rise of a simple penny to such astronomical heights. The coin became a symbol of how rarity, combined with the right circumstances, could turn even the most ordinary objects into valuable treasures. As we look back at this remarkable story, it serves as a reminder that value is not always determined by what something looks like on the surface. Sometimes, it's the hidden qualities, the rarity, the history, the unique circumstances, that make something truly precious. The 2002 penny, with its small mint mark error, is a perfect example of how even the most unassuming things can hold extraordinary worth. So, the next time you reach into your pocket and pull out a penny, remember, that tiny, copper-colored disc may just hold a story waiting to be discovered. And who knows? Perhaps you'll stumble upon the next great coin that will change the world of numismatics forever. If you enjoyed hearing about this incredible story and want to learn more about rare collectibles and fascinating history, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. You won't want to miss the next amazing tale that we have in store.